Hey, I'm Maria Montgomery, and you're watching Main Street Media TV.
Welcome back to Main Street Media TV. My name is Mike Archer. This is the All Mic'd Up Show. Jeff Jacobs sitting right over there. We had an interview with Scott Collins, local musician here, that ended up being broken up into two pieces. Well, this is part two. And Jeff, what are we looking at?
Well, I like this part. You guys talk a little bit about fishing with the audience, and I thought that was kind of interesting about how you kind of read your audiences, and a lot of great information for you musicians out there who trying to get into the local scene. A lot of good tips by you guys. I really like this segment. I think there's a lot to enjoy.
If you have a young entertainer coming up in your family, hopefully you'll find something that Scott or I say in here that'll help you go to the next level. So what is fishing for the audience? Well, let's find out. This is Scott Collins on Main Street Media TV. This is going to be a little bit long. I'll try to be as brief as I can. But I have come up with three perspectives of music. All right. There's the performer, there's the audience, and then there's the management of music. And those are three separate perspectives. Now, obviously, you know the perspective from being a performer. But what the audience doesn't know is the perspective of a performer. So if you can kind of give us a little bit of a flavor for when you're on stage, what it looks like from your eyes looking out. What are some of the things you're feeling? What are some of the things you take from the audience? And what are some of the things that you give?
That's a good question. I like that. Well done. Yeah.
Well, if you've ever seen me, I get a lot of invitations to do sleep clinics. They people.
I'm supposed to take this guy serious, and he's giving those kind of answers.
Come on, man.
That was a great question. And then he gives that answer.
I couldn't help it. You throw a softball, and I'm going to hit it. No.
All right.
No, you can keep that of you. That's hilarious.
No, I do. The most requested song when I play out, seriously, is "Shut Up, You Stink." I mean, it's everywhere I go. Shut up, you stink! I don't know.
So clearly, you have a sense of humor because that's part of entertaining, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I think that's the attitude that draws people in. I mean, there are times when I play and I realize I'm not trying to draw them. I'm just providing background music, and I am fine with that. But there are other times when people they're just like, give me something, dude. Yeah. And you give it all, and you're just up there, and we're all, hey, Jude, and the whole thing. Yeah. So it's kind of both.
I call that, Jeff, because you're not a musician, so you've not been on stage to perform. I call that what he just described. You ever hear a baseball player talk about when they hit a home run and they didn't even feel it? It's like, you hit the sweet spot, and it just went. That's those moments are home run moments.
Oh, yeah. And that makes it all worth it.
Doesn't it, though? Yeah. And it doesn't happen all the time.
No.
But when it does, you know that's why I play.
You have a connection.
Yeah. So the audience, their perspective is skewed sometimes by movies. For example, there are so many movies where a band's playing and the lead singer, for whatever reason, and then some dude or girl in the audience comes up and gets there, and then they shine, and people actually think. Have you ever had situations?
Oh, yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of a individual story?
Well, I mean, how many times have you got the drunk that stumbles on?
Yes,
I can sing. I used to sing with my daddy back when he was a. Can I do a song? It's like. Well, the management frowns on it a little bit.
Yeah. I always put on management for sure.
I signed a contract, and no, but I'm not opposed to inviting people up to have a little karaoke moment. And I have had some I've had some mega people that just like, wow, they were just really good.
See, that's the thing.
That's great.
The way I look at it is two things can happen, and neither are good for me. One is this person's going to be terrible, and that's not good for me. Or this guy's going to be better than me. That's not good for me either. And so many times, and it gets back to where you're talking about with the phone calls. You know how hard I've worked to get this gig, and you want to take it from me? Where were you during a rehearsal? So we talked about the three perspectives. This is just me come up with something very clever. Because I'm just that good. Management. Fortunately for me, I have a manager who books my gigs.
Oh, good.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
I love that woman. But it sounds to me like you're doing kind of both caps, and I've done that for a long time. So from a
Heck, he's producing his own shows.
Exactly.
I mean,
There you go.
he's got plays going on. Huh?
Hey, I've written them too, sir.
I'm sure
I'm not
you
going to
have.
run up you.
I'm
I'm not going to run up you. But anyway, the point is,
You could.
how difficult is it for you to kind of divorce yourself from the performing side into the management side?
You know, today when you do music, you're expected to be a recording engineer on top of writing and doing the music, and that drives me crazy because that is a separate art. And just like management is, I'm not going to call it an art, but that's a very important thing to the whole thing, because if you get bogged down in all that, you lose your creative.
Don't you though?
You just, your juices just dry up, you know, because you really just need to focus on, you know, what you're good at.
Well, okay, it's a good question because I've thought about this, and I wanted to ask this. Technology, has it made it harder for you guys or easier for you guys? Because
both.
it's both, because now you're responsible. Now you can do so many things yourself. You find yourself getting distracted from the music itself. And it used to be you used to have, but you had to have thousands of dollars and all these people to do things. And you know, now anybody can sit down and record a pretty decent soundtrack.
You use any kind of loopers and all that kind of stuff?
I don't do loopers, but I mean, I have done the one band thing, and I used to do that a lot more than I do now.
What does that entail?
Just having things on all the appendages.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
That kind. Well,
Yeah.
The reason I asked is because working on cruise ships, there would be solo artists or even duo artists that would have most of their music on a computer, like a laptop of some sort, and then they would plug in and they'd play it. And of course,
So they play with a track.
yeah, and I look at that as cheating. I won't do it because
I don't like that.
Well, my response to that is, why not just record your vocals and then just go up there, plug it in, sit there and look at everybody.
put in a
yeah,
CD.
Why not?
Oh.
Yeah,
Go
what's
get a cassette and put
What's
it on.
the difference? But the bar owners or the club owners or whatever, they really enjoy that because they don't have to pay a full band. It comes down to them. They want, you know, thousands of dollars worth of effort, but they want to pay you very little. Of course. And that's kind of, it's kind of, in my opinion, you can echo this or you can poo-poo it. I don't know which one, but I feel like that by using that technology, we're kind of cutting off our nose to spite our face in many cases. Would you agree?
Exactly.
It's kind of like the drum machine thing, right?
I won't use it, man.
It was like when the drum machines came out, it was like, man, that's too cool. We don't have to pay Larry.
Yeah.
But then you find out that there's other problems that come along with that.
Well,
now, technology is, to me, it is a double-edged sword because in one sense, anybody can kind of get their stuff out there. On the other hand, anybody can kind of get their stuff out there. And they do. And so it all gets so washed out that, you know, in the old days when we had albums, you know, there was a few record companies, and they chose the people they thought would best, you know, connect, and they had the best talent. And so, you know, we had just a few good groups, and we loved it.
Right.
And now there's just thousands to the point. It's kind of like cable TV. There's just too many TV shows.
And that gets back to the whole, what is success? Success is doing this for a living and basically being good at your job, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and really, it's doing something you love, and if you get paid for it, that's great. You know, I kind of looked at it like that, and unfortunately, because I sold my company, it wasn't like I was sweating bullets to have, you know, rent money and all this stuff. So
I was going to ask you for a grant. When I found out about that.
Ulysses S. I think he's a good one.
Find new roads at Bob Allen Chevrolet in Danville. Check out Bob Allen's dealmaker pricing on new 21 Chevy Silverado 2500 Crew Cab 4x4s. Shop online at boballenmotormall.com.
Influences. Let's talk about some of your influences. Obviously, you've written a play and you do a tribute show for Hank Williams. Is he an influence?
Oh, yeah. Love old country. Love the 70s singer-songwriter, folk.
Okay,
You know.
now you're getting in my wheelhouse. You start talking about the 70s singer-songwriters. Give us some names.
Well, the standards: Jim Croce, John Denver,
Jim Croce, huge fan. Yeah.
James Taylor.
Yeah, I like, some of the people you're talking about, like James Taylor, Carole King.
Yeah.
Some people get into like Neil Young, things of that nature, but they're kind of sit and listen. type stuff, whereas most of the stuff that I do are stuff that people A are singing along with, B might even want to get up and dance to. So I get kind of into the Motown thing, the Elvis thing, beat songs again, the Beatles, Tom Petty even,
I kind of a lot of times I actually play the audience like an instrument, if you will.
I call it fishing. You find out what they like, and then you go that direction.
That makes sense. Yeah, sure.
If they're biting over here, let's go. Let's throw the line.
I like
so,
that. Yeah.
And sometimes there's subtle clues you can.
Absolutely.
You're doing a song and they're kind of singing along to you and say, okay, they're a James Taylor person. Let's do a few of those.
That's great.
I watch for feet tapping. If your foot's tapping along, you're digging it.
Yeah.
You have to have a type A person out there, whether they're a plant or not, that really gets into the music and shows it. People are like sheep in a certain way. I don't mean that derogatory because I love sheep. Love
How much do you
leg
love
of
sheep?
lamb and leg of lamb. But yeah, if you have one outgoing person that shows they're into it, it's like everybody has the permission now that they can enjoy it because they don't want to be the first one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
And you mentioned plants. I mean, the comics will have someone who's a professional laugher show up at their, especially when they're being recorded, and they go with it. So you're right.
I have used Rent a Crowd several times. Yes. If you're a young performer, it's a tough gig now. It really is.
Because getting up in front of people is not. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, it isn't.
And kind of show your stuff.
And I think that the young people, because of technology and small mind, big thumb, sometimes I don't think that they are as outgoing as older generations were. They're kind of locked in themselves, and that plays into their music. I mean, there's just not a lot of young people that I see that are very gregarious and out there. And to me, it was certainly important to musical success in our day.
I don't know that it wouldn't be today either, but I could be wrong. But I think social media and the fact people are engaging more online is probably hurting that aspect of performing. But do you think that there's any truth? Like there's helicopter parents, and my child never does any wrong, and so they're not ready for being critiqued, because when you stand up on the stage, man, I know you're not really, but you're essentially standing up there naked, showing your soul.
Yeah.
And they may not like it. Can you stand there and take it and continue to perform? Do you think they're losing some of that?
Absolutely. The Snowflake mentality is real, and I think it is harder. But I mean, you kind of, just like you get calluses on your fingers, you kind of have to have calluses on your personality to a certain degree, and realize that you're not going to kill it. You're not going to hit a home run every time, Babe Ruth, because it is, number one, it's very competitive out there, very competitive, and you have to develop your craft, and it takes a long time. Just like, you can learn one magic trick, but good luck actually getting paid to do it. You have to work up a professional show, and then you have to cut through all the garb to get an audience, and then you have to impress the audience, and so it's a big hill to climb. But if you love it and you want to do it and you have the gifting, then do it. Go for it. Go full bore.
The people who you watch that are professional, like you talked about off the air about Clapton being one of your favorites, he makes it look so easy, doesn't it? You know how many hours he practiced to get to that point?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what it boils down to. It's really up to you. And that's something I didn't understand. I took piano lessons, I guess it would have been around second grade. And when I'd come back for the lessons, my teacher would say, Mike, you haven't been practicing. How did she know? It's because I wasn't improving. So really, the time you put into it is basically up to you and how good you want to get. That's where I see it.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning, by the way. I'm still practicing. You still practicing?
I still practice.
Yeah, all the time. It never ends. It really doesn't.
Last question for me, for both you guys. Are you happy where you are for the most part? Are you satisfied in your musical?
No.
Okay.
I should be, and I probably will look back and say yes, I was. But you're always looking for the next avenue. Once you achieve a goal, you set another one, and I haven't achieved my next goal. Yeah. Would you agree with that or no? You're shaking your head yes. So.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think every musician wants to feel like they've gone further and further. I mean, if you're not, then you're either growing or you're dying.
Yeah.
So
I've gone much further than when I started. I thought I would.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
then again, when you get there, you're just kind of like, what's next? You know,
Yeah.
now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Because at the end of the show, I always like to do a trivia question.
Oh
or
yeah,
two.
here it comes.
Are you okay with trivia?
Lee Harvey Oswald, second floor, Dallas.
No. Just because I mentioned that earlier about the. No, I was gonna make it music related.
Okay.
James Taylor was married to a famous singer-songwriter.
Carole King.
Wrong.
Whoa, whoa.
He
Carly
was up
Simon.
There you go.
That's what I said. That tape is wrong. Turn that thing on.
Thank you for your time. Did you enjoy this at all?
Absolutely.
Jeff, what do you think? You think
Yeah,
you
I
did a
think
good job?
this was good.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot of things. Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope the audience did. And if you have a youngster, teenager, even preteen, doesn't matter, that wants to get into live music, live performing, hopefully something we said here today will help them. So please share.
Yes.
My name is Mike Archer. On behalf of Scott Collins and on behalf of Jeff Jacobs, this was all mic'd up. Thank you very much for tuning in to Main Street Media TV.